Hey everybody, welcome back. In this extra video, we are going to go ahead and take a look at our terrains again. In this case, I want to specifically take a look at the terrain paint details option here. I would like to talk about how to customize your paint details here. So, in week 5, we went ahead and we worked with an asset store package that included grass and flower textures that we could paint into the scene as we did here. This week, I want to show you how to make your own grass or flower textures, how to customize this to make it your own and not have to be limited by whatever whatever you can find in the asset store. There's quite a few ways to do this. Number one, a simple Google search for grass textures PNG, and you can already start to find some decent images that will work out well for you. Here's a nice little PNG of, transparent background, grass is alpha. This would work perfectly well for a Unity scene, as you can see here from what the flower textures actually look like. These are just these are just target files, but PNGs also work perfectly well as long as you have transparency, as you can see for all these particular examples here. You can also tell here the size that they were at, 1024 by 1024. Most of them are 1024, except for this one. This is 1024 by 512. But most of these are just basic 1024 by 1024 boxes, 1K. Meaning that if we want to replicate this kind of result here for our terrains, we just need to find an image and then either get it to 124 by 124 or make our own image that is 124 by 1024 by 1024, I should say, not 124. That'd be very, very, very low res. So yeah, Google is one way that you can just find some easy options that you may not have in the asset store. The other option is Maya. You can make your own flowers here in Maya, and then take a render of them through PNG, and through Maya's render settings, you will have an instantly transparent file that we can work with. And that is what we're going to do for this extra video. So the quick solution to working in Maya is quite simple. All we have to do is just go up to generate right here. We go down to get brush right here. And now we just need to track down flowers that we can paint onto the scene. I don't know, let's pick Delilah's. Those look nice. Minimize. Let's go ahead and just zoom out a little bit, and let's just paint some Delilahs here. And look at that. That already looks pretty nice. And at this point, all we have to do is just zoom in on one of these flowers. Such as this one right here. And go up to rendering. We go to render settings. We make sure that we are working with, let's see, image format. We can work with Targas, but I would rather work with PNGs. I like PNGs. Let's see, a 1K square is 1024 by 1024. This is Arnold renderer. I would like Maya software, please. PNG with single frame. We're not going to batch render it. From the perspective camera, 1K resolution. Maya software, let's go to production quality, and let's see if this works. Let's render the current frame. Yeah, there it is. A nice render of our flower here. As we can see, if we can go into the display alpha channel, we can see it's exactly as what we would want it for the for Unity, with the black background, where everything that's actually going to be shown is in white. That is exactly what we want. Obviously, we can play around with the positioning of the camera, but this is essentially all we have to do within Maya to get to create quick flowers that we can then import into Unity for use in our terrain. So that's one way. It's just a very, very quick, very quick pick a flower you like and then just paint it onto Maya, and then carefully construct your render frame, so that way you can export the image out as needed. But we are going to go a step further and create our own custom flowers. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that. We can really customize our Unity terrain with anything we want, limited only by our imagination. So we're going to do that by making our own custom flower. In this case, I went ahead and created a new Unity scene. I'll just do that again. New scene, don't save. Let's go back up to generate. Instead of get brush, we're going to go to paint effects tool. I'm going to open up the settings for it. I'm just going to reset everything to make sure it's all at its default. I'm going to close, and now I am just going to draw a little line in the viewport here. There you go. With the line created, we can now select our brush here in the outliner, which we already have, and we can go over to the right here, specifically to the attribute editor, and we can find default brush 1 right here. And now we can really start playing around with, the settings for this stroke that I made here. We only need to worry about making one stroke because in reality we're just going to worry about taking a picture of one flower. So we don't really need to go crazy and create a whole scene here. At this point, let's go down to tubes. We can go ahead and check off tubes right here. And now we can play with the settings, specifically the settings under creation right here and with scale. So let's go ahead and do that right now. I'm likely going to be speeding through as I play with these options, but there are a couple of important ones to be aware of. First of all, tubes per step determines how many tubes there actually are in the brush stroke. And since at the end of the day we're only going to be taking a picture of just the one, it really just makes sense to have as few as possible so that we can just focus in on one and take a picture of one nice one as opposed to having a whole bunch of them at once. Okay, so here's my custom flower. It's not that crazy. I didn't work on it that hard. Just something quick to show you that it can be done and that you can, and you have a lot of parameters and settings here in Maya to customize the flower to be, whatever you want it to be. So I think the last thing I want to do real quick is just come back up here and make it a little bit smaller, just a smidge. There we go. That's probably okay. All right. All right. So let's see. The next step is to go up here to shading. We want to go to tube shading, and we want to go ahead and play around with color 1 and color 2 so that we can actually color in the tube itself. Because right now we have this default material tube with the actual colorful leaves and flowers. So we want to go ahead and change that. We want to make this probably darker green here at the bottom. That'd be interesting. And then towards the top, we have a lighter shade of green here. There we go. That makes sense to me. Now, there is, of course, more that we can do if you were interested in pursuing this further. We could go to generate, for example. Here we go. Get settings from selected stroke, buried deep in there. And now I can paint more of this of this custom flower that I created here, if I wanted to. Now it's my own unique my own unique brush here that I can fill up a space with. Obviously, there's more work that I could have done with this because there's a lot of instances where the leaves are going through the petals. But again, I was just focusing on taking a picture of one nice one and not necessarily making a brush out of them. But if you wanted to make a brush out of a custom asset that you create, such as flower or a tree or whatever, then you can very easily. We could go even a step beyond what we just did. We could create a brand new plane, for example. Let's go ahead and raise that plane up. Let's make it bigger. We can go ahead and go down to generate. We can make the selected plane that we have here paintable. And now, if we again make sure that our settings are from the selected stroke, we can go ahead and paint on the plane itself, as you can see. All I did after making sure that I had the appropriate brush selected was go to generate, and that's just a paint effects tool, and I just paint on the plane. After making sure that I selected the plane and made it a paintable asset here. And if you're not happy with how the flowers are looking, again, some of these leaves are going through the through the petals here. You can still go ahead and just go back into the default brush, and you can still change the settings even at this point. So if you're not happy with how it's looking, you can go ahead and change things up to be however you want it to be. There's still some weird ones here that would require me to do some more work and some more checking in the parameters, but essentially, you still have full control over your brush at this point. So just some extra stuff you can do with custom paint strokes if you wanted to. We're not going to for this video, so I'm going to go ahead and delete them. I'm going to go ahead and jump back over to my flower here because it's time to get this out and into Unity. So here we go. In case you were wondering why I went ahead and converted the brushstroke into polygons, if you try to render out a brush stroke in with the Maya software. Let's go ahead and just go to rendering, render settings to make sure I'm in Maya software here, production quality, it's all good. But if I go ahead and try to render the current frame, I get this for some reason. I'm not sure why brush strokes react to being rendered in Maya software like this, but that's why I converted it into a polygon first. Anyway, we went ahead and took a render of our flowers, so now we're going to go ahead and jump back into Unity. Okay, back in Unity, let's go ahead and first and foremost, let's import our custom flowers. So I'm just going to right click here in my main assets folder. I'm going to import new asset. I'm going to go to my desktop. There's my custom flower. Let's import that in. There it is. Wonderful. 1024 by 1024, just like the other ones. All right, so let's go ahead and select terrain. As a reminder, painting trees is great for adding mesh information to populate your terrain, i.e. trees or rocks or things like that, whereas paint details is great to add texture information, image information, like flowers. So let's go ahead and let's lock in the inspector so I don't accidentally click out of it. Here we are in the paint details, select in the paint details option here. We're going to go down to edit details like before. We're going to add a grass texture. We're going to track my flower down. It should be somewhere. What's it called? It's called My Custom. So let's just type that in and see if it pops up. There it is, My Custom Flower. Let's see, align to ground, max width. This other stuff we can take a look at in a little bit. For now, let's go ahead and add it. Now we're here. And let's just see what happens. Ooh, look at that. They all just popped in. The color's a little bit off, but as you can see, as it's image information, these polygonal planes that make up the flowers are all always turning to stare at you. But let's go ahead and play around with the brush size and opacity a little bit here, and as well as the settings to see if we can get something a little bit nicer. So let's see. Let's go with something softer. Let's go for a smaller brush size. No reason to go that big. Yeah, that's better. We can populate to better control there. Opacity. Yeah. Target strength. That starts erasing, so we'll keep it at 1. Opacity. There we go. Okay. Let's go to edit details. Let's go to edit my custom flower here. Position jittering. What is that? What is that going to do? Min width, max width, detail density, the healthy color. We can go ahead and make this white because healthy color we want it to be the actual the actual color of the flower here. As you may recall, with PNG information, even with PNG information, you're still able to play around with the color within Unity just by making it not white anymore. You can also make it completely dark to get rid of all the image information that exists within that PNG to just make it a shadowy silhouette, or we can make it completely white to have the original image information as it was created, such as this. Or we can go ahead and play around with the color a little bit. So let's see, we can make it. The billboard effect is something that we will cover when we get into particles in quite a few weeks from now. But essentially, the billboard effect is it makes it so that these polygon planes are always facing you, no matter which direction you're looking, or the player is looking, or the camera is looking. That's what the billboard does. Affected by density scale, I'm not sure what that does, but let's see. Align to ground percent, position jitter percent, not sure what those do. Let's go ahead and just apply this, and let's keep painting some more. Let's see. We can make a second flower texture here of the same one. So let's go ahead and type in my custom again. And this time I am going to make it so that these ones are the absolute normal color that that you can expect. And we'll add that in. These ones are bigger because I didn't play around with the size of them. Let's go ahead and do that. All right, that should pretty much do it. It's not perfect, but this is how you can add your own custom your own custom texture information into your terrains. So really, you're not limited by whatever you find in the asset store. If you want to, and you have the wherewithal to work with Photoshop or Maya or Blender or anything like that, you can create your own your own textures as well, and really just expand out your environments to make them whatever you would like to be. So one last thing, may be difficult to tell. I just wanted to say it because I noticed it just as I was closing everything up. You will notice that this custom flower is not actually touching the terrain right now, as opposed to the plants. The reason for that has to do with the render image that I took from Maya. You will recall that the render image, the flower was kind of centered into in the render here. So if we just do a current frame here, it's going to be all weird because these are the paint effects, not the actual model. But you'll notice that because there's this whole gap here between the color information and the transparency, it means that there is going to be a gap here as well when you place the image information in Unity. So the way to fix that is just to bring this into Photoshop and just lower it down so that the bottom of this image is touching the bottom of the 1024 by 1024 box, or just by playing around here within Maya and ensure that you have a nice that you have a render wherein the flower is actually touching the ground as best you can. Maybe kind of difficult in Maya because this render gate here is kind of not completely accurate to what you actually get when you render a current frame. But if it doesn't work out within Maya, then I would recommend you just take your image into Photoshop and just lower it down as needed to match up with what's going on here with the plants. That way, whatever kind of image information you bring in from Unity will bring in from Maya or other programs into Unity. It will be able to appropriately touch the ground as the grass is doing. That's the last thing I wanted to say. It doesn't change the fact that you are still, capable of making any kind of any kind of textures that you want to decorate your scene with. It's just an extra step that I didn't go through in my own video. So thank you very much again for watching. Bye bye.